So today I want to talk about a new feature in the AzAPI provider, which is pretty awesome. So if you don't know, there are more than one provider you can use to provision Azure resources, and one of those is the AzAPI. And you can see here from version 2.0.0 beta, so I think if you use version 2.0.1 and later, you can use this new feature, which is the pre-flight validation. Pre-flight validation is pretty awesome because if you've worked with Terraform before, I can't tell you how many times I've written Terraform code, I have run the plan, and everything looks good, like I'm green across the board. And then I may run apply, or even worse, I may check it into version control, I may push my changes, and I have to wait for the whole CI/CD to run, and then for it all to fail, just because I didn't follow policy compliance, or this storage account name is already in use. Well, maybe you could have told me before. But that's just been a flavor of working with AzureRM, at least for a while. But now with this new pre-flight function, we can actually do something about that. So I have a previous project here, which is actually from a blog post that I made on custom policies, and we're not going to go too much in depth into creating policies and stuff, but what this project is I have defined a policy definition for what kind of storage replication types do I allow in my cloud environments or in Azure. And basically what this says that if the resource is of a type storage account, and the field SKU, if the name of the SKU is not in this list, then we want to apply an effect, right? So what I do with this in my policy assignment is that I create my policy assignment, I reference this definition I've created, but the effect value I've set to deny. So this means that if someone is trying to deploy a storage account with a replication SKU that is not any of these, then I will get denied. And what I did with the custom policy, or the blog post in this case, was showcasing like an exemption. So I have a storage account here which I'm trying to deploy, and it's using the account replication type LRS, or locally redundant storage. And this one is not in accordance to my policy, so this one shouldn't be allowed. However, it is allowed because I have this policy exemption, essentially. So at the scope of the resource group, I am exempting the storage account, and that means I can create it. But this video is about pre-flight validation, so I actually wanted to test this feature just using this code base that I have here. So it would be interesting to see kind of what happens if I use it, because you can see I'm using AzureRM here, but we want to use AzAPI, and we want to enable this provider feature. So what I will do is we're going to pretend like this exemption doesn't exist, and we're going to try and create the account. So given the logic of the policy, this shouldn't work. So now that we've removed the policy exemption, and I don't need the depends on anymore, it will be interesting to see. So this storage account doesn't follow the logic of the Azure policy, so it shouldn't allow me to do this, and so we'll see what happens. I quickly want to check my state, because I think this is already deployed, so we just need to force a redeployment of this. We can do that with Terraform taint and the resource name. So that's been tainted, and then I can run Terraform plan, and I'll point to my production TFVars here, and we'll see what happens. So we can see it wants to redeploy my storage account. It'll remove the policy exemption. This is super important then, because that means the guardrails are off essentially for that. So yeah, we'll run on apply. All right, so we can see that the storage account was destroyed here, And we can see that the policy exemption was destroyed. So when it tried to create the account again, we can see this storage account was disallowed by policy, and the policy assignment says that it's not in compliance with the policy, essentially. So that's good, that's what we wanted. But here's the issue previously with Terraform is that if I rerun my plan, and I've written the code for the storage account and I'm trying to deploy it, and like I'm an Azure administrator, and initially I would see, oh, the code I wrote seems good, it wants to create what I want to create, it's not going to tell me anything, but then I check it into source control, the pipeline kicks off, I'm sitting there waiting, and then all of a sudden I'm going to get that error message that we saw that's going to say, oh, well, you know, you had this policy, it's not going to allow this. And I'll be like, well, maybe you could have told me, but yeah. But so anyway, so this like enter pre-flight validation. So what we have to do first is we just have to go to the AzAPI provider. We will jank some code here. So what we have to do is we have to update our Terraform block. So we'll say we want to use the AzAPI. And remember, you have to use version 2.0.1 or later. I will just go ahead and use the latest one. Then we need to declare this provider block, AzAPI, and then I want to use enable preflight, so I'll set this to true. So we have one more thing to do then, because this is the AzureRM version of this one, so we can't use it. It's not going to help us in our pre-flight adventures, so we're going to declare a new resource, and we're going to say it's an AzAPI resource, and it's an LRS storage. So there are a few things that this takes. For example, the name. I'm actually gonna cheat here a little bit. So we'll say that's the name. It needs a parent. I'm gonna use my resource group. That should be fine. After this, we need to specify the type. So we have storage accounts. By the way, I'm using AzAPI VS Code extension, which is helping me with the IntelliSense here. So if you don't have it, I would strongly recommend getting it. I'll show you. You search for AzAPI, and then you install this one from Microsoft.com. Okay, anyways, so back to this. We have pretty much what we need, but we need to have some more things. So we have the body for this. New keyboard, don't understand it. So we'll set some required properties here. It's been way easier lately to, probably because of the extension, or of course because of the extension, but authoring these resources have been a lot easier lately. So I can just use the required one, but here then we'll say standard locally redundant, and this one isn't in compliance either with the policy, which is what we want. Okay, so we have our new LRS storage account, and in our provider we say that we've enabled preflight. So let's take it for a spin. So back in the terminal, I need to run Terraform init again because I've added a new provider, so I need to initialize that. And then we'll just go ahead and run plan. So if you remember from before, then this command failed. No, sorry, this command didn't fail, this command worked. It said it was going to create my storage account. But now that I have this pre-flight validation enabled, I should expect to see something else. Yeah, okay. It's also recommended to use all of the parameters that you should use. Just a pro tip, so we'll add that. We'll run plan again. Oh, and something else happened. So what happened? Resource validation failed and request disallowed by policy. So I get the same error message that I received using the AzureRM version of this resource, but I receive it now in the plan stage. So I already know right away when I'm authoring this that this is not going to work, which is, oh, we love that. It can save us so much time. And just to be sure, if I turn this off, because this is per default, it's set to false, so you have to enable it yourself. If we set it to false, and we'll run the plan again, it works, or it thinks it's going to work, but it'll fail later. So in the documentation for this, we can actually have a look. So what we did now is we use preflight to check for policy violations, but you can do more things. So for example, here's an example where the plan fails because the storage account is already taken. So the name here, example, it already exists a storage account with this name, and storage account names has to be unique across Azure. But before we wouldn't know this until we ran apply, so that's awesome. So that's one thing we can do as well. The second example here is they're trying to create a virtual network, and the prefix is incorrectly formatted. It's like a /160, which is, that's not a prefix, and it'll tell you, so yeah, you had an invalid prefix format. And then here, again, the policy restrictions is what we tested, but this, for example, maybe we don't allow blob public access. So you can see here, this is not allowed by policy, and they have a similar message that says it's disallowed by policy. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. So that's pretty much it. It's not a super long video. But let me know, like, are you guys using AzAPI now, or are you still with AzureRM? If you were to set up a new project, which one would you use? I've used AzureRM fairly extensively, but I'm beginning to like AzAPI more and more, and it's looking like it's a strong contender. So, but I hope you guys liked the video, and leave a like, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. Okay, thanks, bye.